Ain't no way this just happened, Yandy, and just threw Lil Mendeecees out the house after he straight up slapped Mendeecees in the car. Like what, yo? This family drama just took a turn nobody saw coming. We thought the tension between them was bad before, but this is next level chaos. Now imagine the scene. Mendeecees and Lil Mendeecees is riding in the car, and out of nowhere, boom, a full-on slap right across the face. But hold up, why did this even happen? What did Mendeecees say that made his own son snap like that? And more importantly, why did Yandy react like this? Yo, I got all the inside tea on this messy situation, and trust me, you ain't ready for these details. From secret arguments to explosive fights, this drama is giving full-on reality TV chaos. And let's not forget the streets been talking and the rumors wild, so grab your popcorn cause we about to break this all the way down. Alright y'all, let's really break this mess down, because this right here pure chaos. So here's the situation. Mendeecees and Lil Man's been having tension for a minute now. We all saw the signs, we all heard the whispers, but nobody thought it would get this wild. Like father-son relationships can be complicated, but this straight up disaster. Let's rewind for a second. If y'all remember, there's been bad blood between Lil Mendeecees and his dad for years. We ain't even got act surprised ever. Since Mendeecees got locked up, things ain't never really been the same, and when he got out, the damage was already done. You could feel the tension through the screen every time they interacted. It was always something off. See, Lil Mendeecees had to grow up fast while his dad was behind bars, and who was holding it down for him? Yandy. And she was making sure he was straight, making sure he felt supported. But the second Mendeecees came back, it's like everything just shifted. It was like he expected his son to immediately fall in line, act like nothing ever happened. But you'll know that's not how this works. Years of resentment don't just disappear overnight, and let's be real, Mendeecees hasn't exactly been father of the year. We all remember when he openly admitted that he wasn't sure if he would have held Yandy down if the roles were reversed. Child, the internet was not having it. If he could do that to his wife, imagine what kind of energy he's been giving his own son behind closed doors. Fast forward to this recent car ride, and boom, everything that's been brewing between them exploded. From what we heard, this argument started over something small, just one of those casual father-son disagreements. But let's be real, when there's years of build-up tension, even the smallest thing can turn into a full-blown war. Now, sources say Mendeecees was coming at Lil Mendeecees over his attitude, saying he's been too disrespectful lately. And yo, you know how fathers be trying to assert their dominance, like, boy, you better watch your tone when you talk to me type vibes. But Lil Mendeecees, he was not having it. He snapped back, telling his dad that he don't respect him cause he ain't never been there. That's the kind of sentence that'll cut deep. And Mendeecees, instead of just listening and understanding where his son was coming from, he did what he always does, try to control the situation instead of actually fixing it. And you all know how this goes when parents feel like their kids are getting too bold. They try to shut it down immediately. They feel disrespected, and instead of understanding, they just double down. So Mendeecees raises his voice, tells Lil Mendeecees to fix his attitude, basically trying to check him. And that's when everything snapped. Lil Mendeecees looked his dad dead in the eyes and hit him with, "You want to act like a father now? Where was this energy when I needed you?" Boom, mic drop, y'all. If that ain't the hardest hitting line of the decade, I don't know what is. But before Mendeecees could even react, Lil Mendeecees straight up slapped him, y'all. I don't know if he blacked out from rage, if it was pure instinct, or if he had just been waiting for this moment his whole life. But baby, he swung, and the next thing you know, Mendeecees is just sitting there stunned, like he really got hit by his own son. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't know how to react. Now, here's the craziest part. You think that Mendeecees would have snapped, you think he would have been yelling, going off, maybe even swinging back. But no, he just sat there looking like he had seen a ghost. Why? Because in that moment, he finally realized he lost his son. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, Yandy enters the chat. See, she wasn't even there when the slap happened, but the second she heard about it, she lost it. She was yelling, crying, demanding to know what the hell just happened. And when she finally put the pieces together, y'all, the decision she made next, nobody saw it coming. She told Lil Mendeecees to get out. And just like that, the entire family was ripped apart. But hold up, before we even get into that mess, Let's talk about the aftermath of the slap. Real quick, cosmetics ain't the only one who felt the shock. The entire internet went wild. People were split right down the middle. Some were calling Lil Mendeecees disrespectful, saying you never lay hands on your father no matter how bad things get. Others, they were straight up defending him, saying he was just releasing years of built-up anger after being neglected. And you'll know the memes came in hot. We had people calling it the father-son smackdown of 2025. Others were saying Mendeecees got what was coming to him. Some were even comparing it to that whole Will Smith and Chris Rock moment, talking about keep my name out your mouth. But wait, if y'all think this is crazy, just wait till I tell you how this family feud escalates in part 2, because when I tell you Yandy's next move was unthinkable, y'all buckle up. Alright, so boom, Lil Mendeecees just slapped his own father Mendeecees in the car, and now the entire family is in shambles. But y'all, what happened next is where this situation went from messy to downright unthinkable. Because after that slap, Yandy had to make a decision that would change everything. Now, let's be real, Yandy loves Lil Mendeecees. She's basically been raising him since he was a little kid. She was holding him down when Mendeecees was locked up, making sure he had everything he needed. She played the role of both mom and dad, and you'll know that wasn't easy, but at the same time, she loves Mendeecees too. And seeing her son put hands on his own father, that was the final straw. So what does she do? She looks at Lil Mendeecees dead in the eye and says, you got to go. Y'all, when I tell you nobody saw this coming, the internet went into a full-blown meltdown. Like, we're talking shocked reactions, people screaming at their screens, Twitter in flames, because let's be real, ain't nobody expect Yandy to turn on Lil Mendeecees like that. But let's break it down, cause there's two sides to this. On one hand, you got people saying Lil Mendeecees was dead wrong. You never put your hands on your father Yandy and had to put her foot down. But on the other side, you got folks like, wait a damn minute, how are you going to kick out the same kid you've been raising all these years? Ain't he the one who was abandoned by his dad and bathed the way people were arguing in these comment sections? Messy. But before we get into that, let's talk about Lil Mendeecees' reaction, cause yo, when I tell you this boy was shocked, he looked at Yandy like he couldn't even believe what he just heard. Like, this woman who was always his protector, his ride or die, just told him to get out. And yo, let's be real, Lil Mendeecees ain't no dummy. He knew this slap was going to cause problems, but he never thought it would come to this. So you know what he did? He laughed like a whole cold sarcastic, I can't believe this type laugh. And then he hit her with it, oh so now I'm the bad guy after everything I've been through. Y'all, G-wrenching, but Yandy, she didn't budge, she stood firm. She was like, I don't care what you've been through, you crossed the line. And that was it. Lil Mendeecees grabbed his stuff and walked out. Now, here's where things get even wilder. Because now that Lil Mendeecees is out the house, he's out here in these streets talking. And when I say talking, I mean exposing everything. He went straight to social media, airing out family secrets, posting cryptic messages, and yo, he even went live. And baby, the way he was talking, he held nothing back. He started exposing how Mendeecees was never really there, how he used to fake like he cared just for the cameras, how he only started acting like a father when it was convenient for him. And then he dropped the biggest bomb. He said, Yandy ain't as innocent as she tries to act. Now, y'all, at that point, the internet went from shocked to straight up speechless, because let's be real, Yandy has always had that perfect wife, perfect mother image. She's the one who's supposed to be the peacemaker, the one who keeps everything together. But Lil Mendeecees, he was like, nah, let's talk about the real Yandy. And that's when things really took a turn. He started dropping hints that Yandy only took care of him to look good for the cameras, that behind closed doors she was a whole different. He even said, y'all really think she just took me out of love? Or was it cause it made her look like the perfect wife? You, at this point, people ain't even know who to believe, because let's be real, on one hand, Lil Mendeecees is out here looking like a kid who's been through hell and back, finally speaking his truth. But on the other hand, people were like, is he just acting out cause he got kicked out? And then because this situation wasn't messy enough, already Mendeecees finally speaks out. Yo, he was quiet at first. He ain't say nothing for days, no Instagram posts, no comments, nothing. But then he did an interview, and when I tell y'all this interview was straight up damage control, I mean he came ready with the script, the sad face that I'm just a hurt father routine. He sat there like, as a man, I just never thought my own son would turn on me like this. And the interviewer was eating it up like, wow, that must be so painful for you. And Mendeecees hit end with the classic, at the end of the day, all I ever wanted was to be a father. I ain't perfect, but I tried to see my son disrespect me like that. That hurt me more than anything. Oh, please, like, sir, where was this I'm just a loving father energy when he was out here being a deadbeat for years? The internet was not buying it. People were flooding the comments like, oh, so now you want to play the victim, sir? You ain't been a father for years. This ain't just about a slap. Mendeecees is acting like he didn't abandon that boy for half his life, and y'all, the mess just kept getting worse because guess who decided to jump in? Erica, yes, Mendeecees' other baby mama. And baby, when I tell you she came in swinging, she was like, oh, now y'all see what I've been saying for years. Men's been asterisk to y'all. This drama was no longer just a family feud. It was turning into a full-blown soap opera. We had Lil Mendeecees out here airing out secrets. Mendeecees trying to play victim. Yandy caught in the middle, looking guilty as hell. Erica popping up out of nowhere to add more fuel to the fire. And then just when we thought this mess couldn't possibly get worse, somebody dropped receipts. And baby, when I tell you all these receipts changed everything. Oh, you ain't ready, because what was in those texts, it proved that this family been fake for years. And what happened next? Fight. So boom, the internet was already in flames, but then somebody dropped the receipts. And when I tell you all these receipts flipped the entire story on its head. You wow. So what was in them screenshots, voicemails, text messages? And baby, these messages proved that this family had been faking it for years. Y'all, it wasn't just Lil Mendeecees talking crazy. These receipts showed that behind closed doors, Mendeecees and Yandy had been setting up this perfect family image for the cameras, while the real story straight up toxic. And get this, Mendeecees, oh well, in words exposed in one of the texts showed Mendeecees saying, I only do this for TV. I got to look like I'm trying. Now, so while he was out here crying in interviews talking about, I just want to be a father, the receipts were saying, nah, you just want to look good for the cameras. Y'all, this man was out here faking Father of the Year when in reality he ain't been around like that. And if that wasn't bad enough, the receipts also exposed Yandy. Now remember when Lil Mendeecees said she wasn't as innocent as she acts? Baby, these texts backed it up. One of the messages showed Yandy texting Mendeecees saying, I can't keep doing this. He's not even my real son. Excuse me, like, huh? Not your real son, baby. Lily's had been calling this woman mom for years. She had been out here claiming she loved him like her own, and now she's texting his real father saying she can't keep pretending. Y'all, this was bad because now the internet didn't know who to believe. Was Lil Mendeecees just a disrespectful kid who crossed the line, or was he a hurt son who finally had enough of the lies? Was Yandy really a loving stepmom, or was she just doing it for the cameras? Was Mendeecees really trying, or was he just keeping up appearances? And then because this story wasn't crazy enough, already guessed who popped up? Mama D, yes, LHA royalty, the queen of messy. And baby, when I tell you she came with the ultimate shade, she jumped on Instagram. Live like, see, this is why I say y'all need to stop faking these TV relationships. The truth always comes out. And then she went even further. She straight up said, I've been new. Man, this wasn't asterisk to Yandy been playing stepmom for a storyline. And Lil Mendeecees, that boy been fed up. I don't blame him for snapping. Y'all, at this point, the love and hip hop universe was shaking. We had Lil Mendeecees telling his truth, Yandy and Mendeecees getting exposed, Mama D throwing gasoline on the fire. And then just when we thought it was over, Camilla jumped in. Yes, Joel Santana's wife, the same Kim fella who got into it with Yandy years ago. And by she was waiting for this moment, she hopped on IG talking about, oh, so now y'all see what I was saying about Yandy. This woman been fake. I've been trying to tell y'all, but y'all ain't wanting to listen. And baby, she wasn't holding back. She straight up said Yandy will do anything to make herself look good, even if it means throwing Lil Mans under the bus. Y'all, at this point, this wasn't just family drama, this was a full-blown expose. And then because this story just kept getting messier, Lil Mendeecees came back online, and by ye he had One final thing to say, he went live again, and this time he was calmer, more serious, and he straight up said, "I don't care what nobody says about me. I know my truth. I know what I've been through, and I know who really loves me and who is just using me." And then he looked in the camera and said, "I'll never be fake for nobody, that's why they mad." Y'all, the way the internet went silent after that, because at the end of the day, no matter what side you're on, one thing was clear: this family was never what they pretended to be, and now everything's out in the open. So the real question is what happens next, because after all this mess, there's no going back. Wow, y'all, this is crazy. Like, did we just witness an entire family collapse in real time? Because this ain't just some regular drama. This is years of secrets, lies, and fake family goals getting exposed. And now the biggest question is what happens next. Like, is Lil Mendeecees done with his father forever? Is Yandy finally going to admit she's been playing stepmom for the cameras? Is Mendeecees even going to try to fix this? Or is he just going to keep blaming everybody else? And baby, let's not forget, we still don't know the full story, because if these messages leaked, what else is out there? Will more receipts drop? Will another reality star jumping you out? This is a whole mess. But one thing's for sure, this ain't over. And when the next bombshell drops, you already know we're going to break it down right here. So let me know in the comments, whose side are you on? Is Lil Mendeecees just a rebellious kid, or is he the only one telling the truth? And what do y'all think is next for this family? Let's get into it, because baby, I need to know what y'all think. And while you are at it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications, because trust me, you do not want to miss the next update on this mess. This is just the beginning.